the start of the year.
Ryan, you've said that this is going to be the test of the thumb, getting into this grind, spring training. Are you eager to see how it responds?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. So far it feels great. As I said when I met with you guys a few weeks ago in Milwaukee, everything so far has gone as well as I could have possibly hoped. So hopefully the next few weeks continue to do the same, and we can stop talking about it at some point in the near future.
Is anything going to be different?
What's that?
Is anything going to be different in this camp for you?
Hopefully I'm healthy. But aside from that, I don't think I'll be limited or anything. I'll have to be conscious about how many extra swings I take and stuff like that. But aside from that, I'm able to do everything.
You guys love to swing. How will you be able to cut back? It's going to be breaking some habits. You guys swing and swing.
Yeah, I think, the game's always about making adjustments. We constantly have to make adjustments as hitters, to the opposition, to the pitchers, to our routines, and this is an adjustment that I'll have to make to my routine. But I think it's kind of easy knowing that it's in my best interest, and I've kind of dealt with this long enough to know that if I push it too much and do too much, I increase the likelihood that I irritate it. So, there's more upside to not pushing it than there is to continue to push through it.
Have you done anything different the last few weeks than you would have done on any other year? Have you ramped up anything? Or?
No, I think I started swinging a little bit sooner than I typically do, just to kind of see how it felt, give myself some time to gradually work my way into things. But overall, I've been able to do everything I would typically do in an off season, which is encouraging, and I feel really good.
We were talking to Ron yesterday about making lineups up, and he said it's going to be hard to do this because so many guys fit in so many different slots, and you've batted in a few different ones. How do you see that working out? Do you like that you have so many versatile guys that could bat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
I mean, I think it's always advantageous as an offense to have a lot of guys that are kind of interchangeable. As we've all seen over the years, there's going to be injuries, there's going to be different things that come up throughout the course of the season. So when you have different guys that could step into different slots in the lineup, it's certainly advantageous to the team over the course of a season. For me, my biggest preference is just being healthy. As long as I'm healthy, I don't really care too much where I'm at in the lineup. And it's, I think, a good problem, hopefully, for Ron to have.
When was the last time you were healthy? Like, do you remember the day the thumb first bit you?
Yeah, it was a changeup against Joe Kelly in St. Louis. I don't remember. I think it was an extra inning game at some point in 2013. So it's been a while since I've felt as good as I do now.
Ryan, with a year under your belt now in right field, will you do anything different this spring, or did you learn anything that things that you need to work on this spring, in particular, playing right field?
Yeah, I think I need to work on everything. I think as I've said last year, the more experience I have out there, the better I'll be. The more I'm able to see balls live off the bat, see balls in game type situations where I'm doing everything at full speed. Hopefully, the more comfortable I get, and the better I get out there. Certainly still a lot of room for improvement. I think I spent a lot of time in left field. It took me a couple years to really get to the point where I felt comfortable and felt like I became an above-average defender. So hopefully right field I continue to progress, continue to get better, and this year goes a little bit better than last year did for me.
Brian, where do you think the talent on this team compares to, say, the last 5 years?
I mean, I think it's similar on paper. I think you have a couple of really high upside young pitchers, and that's exciting. With Willie Peralta, with Jimmy Nelson, I think both of those guys just have tremendous stuff, big physical guys, which is exciting, with great stuff. So I think for both of those guys, they have the potential to really turn into dominant starting pitchers, and that's exciting for us.
How about depth? Do you feel like it's a little less than past years?
I haven't really looked at our depth chart too much yet. But obviously when you lose somebody like Giovanni, who's consistently given us 200 innings as a starting pitcher, it's never advantageous to us as a team. So I don't really know exactly what our depth chart looks like. I know in the outfield, the fourth outfielder like Gerardo Parra, who's Gold Glove outfielder, plenty good enough to start on almost any team in the major leagues. That's encouraging. But aside from that, I don't really know too much about our depth chart.
What kind of message do you expect from Mark and Ron tomorrow? I know you guys have talked at FanFest about putting in the season in the past, but do you expect that to be a touchdown tomorrow when you talk?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've addressed that enough. It was obviously difficult for all of us last year. When you show up this year, you can't do anything about last year. None of us can change it. We wish things ended differently than they did, but they didn't, and we can't do anything to go back and change what already occurred. So hopefully the focus is just on this year, doing everything we can to prepare the best that we can every day to be successful and to get off to a good start in April.
How much did you see him over the winter?
How much
Mark,
did I see?
I know you were busy at home, but did you see Mark much this offseason?
I got to see him a couple times. He had some personal things going on with his father and some health things that took up a lot of his time, but normally I get to see him a couple times at least.
What's his Where's he at, you think, going into this year after how last year ended?
I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, so I don't know that it would be appropriate for me to attempt to guess where he's at. I think that's a question better left for you guys to ask him. Yeah.
It was pretty evident at the end of last year you weren't happy, though, wasn't it?
I mean, none of us were happy. If anybody's happy with the way that the season finished up, they're not in the right profession, not in the right business. Because for all of us, the goal is to get to the postseason. We had a great first 5 months of the year. And we didn't finish off well, so obviously we were all disappointed.
This division is pretty good, pretty close, pretty stacked. But do you see anyone really capable of running away with it, or do you see it being more of a dogfight?
I think it's so difficult to say this time of the year. I felt like for the last couple of years we probably had the toughest division in baseball, and it's only continued to get stronger and stronger. So certainly we know that we have our hands full. I think every team in the division would probably say the same thing. But there's so many variables, so many things that come into play. Potential injuries, guys having breakout years, guys having down years. So it's just too difficult, I think, to make a definitive statement about the state of the division right now.
And when Ron asks you how much you're going to want to play this spring, what are you going to tell him?
Probably about the same as I've played in previous springs. I don't think that I've ever needed too many at-bats to feel like I'm comfortable and prepared for the season. So I think the goal is obviously to do whatever we can to feel like we're best prepared for the season. And I think I've always gotten off to pretty decent starts in April with what I've done in the past. So probably something similar to what I've done before.
And this idea of limiting extra hitting, is it fair to say that you probably do less extra hitting than other players anyway?
Everybody's a little bit different. I think my routine, I probably take less swings than most guys. But again, everybody's different. You have some guys that take 100 swings in the cage before the game every day. I've never been a guy that does that. So in that sense, I don't have to drastically alter my routine or anything like that.
What do you do? Just BP?
No, I'll normally take some soft toss, some tee. It just depends on how I'm feeling. Depends on our schedule, too. Typically, before day games, I'd hit in the cage more than I would before a night game because we don't hit on the field. We don't take batting practice on the field very often for day games. So it just kind of depends day to day.
Ryan, if the thumb turned out to be good, what will it take to get back to 2012 production, assuming the thumb's okay?
That's the biggest key to success. So I've always felt like as long as I'm healthy, success is inevitable. So I think most of us as players would feel the same way. But as long as I'm healthy, I expect to go out there, be productive, and do the things that I've always done.
In that regard, have the last 2 years been a nightmare, or what's your reflection on the last 2 years? Because just so many bad things have happened that have stopped you from being yourself.
Yeah, it's challenging. It's a difficult game to start with. It's a game that we deal with a lot of adversity, a lot of failure, both individually and as a team. And when you deal with it individually, it's not fun. I think there's moments that are still enjoyable, moments that are rewarding, but it becomes that much more difficult when things aren't going well. So certainly it's been tough, and it's nice to show up. First day of spring training, feel healthy, feel good, and be excited about this year.
And the old Ryan Braun, you're healthy. We're going to see that we saw, up to 2012.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah.
But you've never lacked in confidence, but you've been injured. But if you're healthy, you still believe that, right?
Oh, absolutely. I feel good. I'm only 31. I should be good. I feel at least as good as I did when I was 21. So I feel good.
And you're still got many years to go on your contract too. So there's a lot riding on everything for you, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the better I play, the more I'm going to help the team. I don't really think that the contract or my position in a situation like that comes into play as much as it does. Just pride in being the best player that I can be, knowing that the better I play, the more I'll help our team. And I expect to go out there and be one of the best players in the league.